Hi, and welcome to MoveSmart Rentals. Before you apply for our broker of record position, it's important that you watch this entire video because this isn't a traditional broker of record opportunity. We want to explain what we're building, why we're hiring this position, what you'll actually be responsible for, the experience we're looking for, and what you can expect throughout our hiring process. What are we building? MoveSmart Rentals is a technology-enabled residential leasing company focused on making the leasing process faster, simpler, and more transparent. Today, a major part of our business focuses on helping property owners successfully bring their properties to market and manage the leasing process. The next stage is expanding further into the tenant side of the transaction. We want to build the brokerage infrastructure that allows our properties to be advertised across MLS, expands their exposure to prospective tenants, and allows us to use MoveSmart's technology, systems, and digital reach to generate more tenant demand. And that's where the broker of record comes in. What makes this role different? We're not looking for someone to simply become the broker of record of an already established brokerage and maintain what's already there. We're building. You'll help establish the Ontario brokerage, build the regulatory and compliance foundation, obtain the appropriate board and MLS access, establish the processes required to advertise and transact properly, and help us create the infrastructure needed to support significant growth. That includes working through areas like RICO requirements, brokerage policies, trust processes, MLS access, IDX and VOW, transaction review, agent onboarding, advertising compliance, record keeping, and regulatory oversight. But we also don't want those processes living in binders and spreadsheets forever. MoveSmart Rentals is a technology company. You'll work with our product, engineering, and operations teams to take brokerage requirements and help translate them into actual technology. That could mean automated workflows, permissions, compliance checkpoints, alerts, transaction reviews, reporting, audit trails, agent onboarding systems, and integrations with MLS and other brokerage platforms. So we're looking for someone who can understand the regulation and then help us build a scalable system around it. What happens as the brokerage grows? We expect this brokerage to grow. That means more listings, more leasing transactions, and eventually a significant network of agents and registrants. Part of your responsibility will be helping determine what that organization needs to look like as it scales. When do we need additional compliance support? When do we need transaction coordinators? How should agents be recruited, registered, trained, supervised, and held accountable? What controls need to exist before volume increases? And how do we grow quickly without allowing compliance or file quality to deteriorate? We're looking for someone who has dealt with those questions before. Who are we looking for? You must be an Ontario broker in good standing and eligible and willing to act as broker of record. Ideally, you've spent significant time working inside Ontario brokerages and have previous experience as a broker of record, deputy broker of record, or senior brokerage compliance leader. But just like with many senior positions, we're more interested in the depth and scale of what you've actually done than simply counting years on a resume. The biggest thing we're looking for is direct experience opening or helping establish an Ontario brokerage. We want someone who understands what needs to happen before that brokerage can begin operating, not just someone who joined one after the work was already completed. You should also understand what operating at scale looks like. If you've supervised a large number of agents, managed substantial transaction volume, built onboarding or training programs, dealt with RICO inspections or audits, managed trust account controls, or helped a brokerage grow quickly, that's especially relevant. Technology matters here. You don't need to be a software engineer, but you do need to be comfortable with technology. If your approach is simply, "This is how brokerages have always done it," this probably won't be the right environment. We're going to ask you to sit with product managers, engineers, operations teams, and leadership and explain. What does the brokerage legally need to do? Where does a broker of record need oversight or approval? What needs to be documented? What should trigger an alert? What can safely be automated? And then we're going to build systems around those requirements. For someone who has spent years seeing the inefficiencies inside traditional brokerages, that's a pretty unique opportunity. Where is the position based? Unlike some of our other positions, this role must be based in Ontario. The position will begin on a hybrid basis and is expected to transition to being primarily in office at our Vaughan location. Because you'll be working closely with leadership, operations, agents, compliance teams, and our technology organization while we build the brokerage, we need someone who can be physically involved in that process. Compensation. Compensation for this position can reach approximately 130,000 Canadian dollars annually, depending on your experience and qualifications. Your background as a broker of record, brokerage launch experience, scale of agent supervision, transaction volume, regulatory expertise, and technology experience will all be considered. Full compensation details will be discussed during the interview process. What happens after you apply? Once you apply, our recruitment partner will review your resume and application. If your background appears to align, you'll receive an invitation to complete a pre-recorded online interview. The questions are intentionally detailed. We're going to ask about brokerage launches you've personally worked on, RICO and compliance, MLS and board access, trust accounts, audits and inspections, agent recruitment and training, technology, and how you would handle the challenges of scaling a brokerage quickly. We're not expecting you to memorize legislation. What we're trying to understand is what you've actually done, what you've personally owned, and how you think. If that interview goes well, you'll move to the next stage and meet directly with members of our leadership and human resources teams. That's where we'll go much deeper into what we're building and the role you could play in it. Before you apply. So before you apply, ask yourself, have you actually helped build or launch a brokerage? Do you understand the responsibility that comes with being broker of record? Have you managed compliance at meaningful scale? Can you build systems instead of simply maintain existing ones? Are you comfortable challenging decisions when compliance requires it? And are you interested in helping take traditional brokerage operations and rethink how they can work using modern technology? If the answer is yes, we'd really like to hear from you. This is an opportunity to do more than oversee a brokerage. It's an opportunity to help build one from the ground up, help shape how it operates, and create the infrastructure that supports the next stage of MoveSmart Rentals growth. If that sounds like the kind of challenge you're looking for, submit your application and keep an eye on your email for the next steps. We look forward to learning more about you.